it joins us. But I've started recording again. So you were saying something, Kennedy. You said the bottom line is something.
Yes, like the bottom line is testing is context dependent, just like one of the principles of testing told us. So it depends on what you are testing and the kind of testing you are carrying out that really talk about the type of testing you engage in. So.
Yeah. And I also recommend that there was one document I shared with you guys. I think it was test strategy or something. I highlighted in that document all the different types of testing, because I must tell you that the ones I have mentioned, there are still a lot of other ones. But most of them is English, heuristic testing. They'll tell you this testing, that testing. But by the time you read the content, you just realize that it is English. Some of them may be negative testing, but the English they will use will make you feel like you don't even know what they are talking about. But by the time you read the explanation on it, then you understand that, oh, it's something I even know and I do it. It's just this term that they are using that makes it look kind of confusing. So I don't know if we've been able to answer Henry's question.
Yes, so I'm okay. Thank you.
All right, great. But I would like to also ask you one last question before I move to somebody else. So what did you think about the First Bank issue? Did you see the First Bank issue? Did you hear about it?
Sorry, the one you posted on the group now about their updated app.
Yes. Why do you think?
I said obviously quality testing was not done before they shipped it. No, that's what I said, because I don't know how many. I don't think there's any law or anything saying banks should have what's it called, QA testers in their organization. So it's very possible they didn't even have one.
If it is First Bank they have, I almost got a job with them before.
Okay, so that means the person did not do a good job then. That's what it means.
Yeah. Okay, that's your opinion.
That's what I feel.
Okay.
My opinion. The person did not do a good. Did not test properly. I'm sure the person would have tested. But the person did not do proper testing. What you said, stress testing and the rest of them.
So because you are not an insider, you can't say that was the real issue. That's why I said that's your opinion.
My opinion.
Okay, so maybe I should take other people's opinion before we talk about something else. So guys, what do you think went wrong? Henry has said he feels that the QA did not do a thorough job. So what do you guys think about the first?
Hello.
Yes, Nii, go on.
Yeah, thank you so much. In fact, I'm really enjoying this particular class. I wouldn't, though I've actually read, like Henry said, even myself too, I've read a lot about software testing, even before coming across you. But thank God I came across you, and you gave me a very good ground to learn. There are so many materials out there. You understand? There are materials out there. Even majorly when it comes to types of testing, this one will say this one, that will say that one. Not that they are driving home to a point anyway, but they give different types of testing, honestly, from different materials. But one thing I learned from Amo the other time I took, is it the first or the second one? He was like talking about manual testing. That manual testing, basically, what you need is your mind, ability to think, and then to put what you have thought down, what you have probably thought in your mind, ability to put it down is what is encompassed in the manual testing. It's only when you get to automation, that is where you start making use of certain probably software testing, how will I put it now? To do your test and all of that. And thank God, recently, I've actually been trying to compare materials, and I discovered that what you teach I get more understanding than even listening to all this online stuff, because what you do is you break it down. Maybe because you are a teacher anyway, you are a teacher of the world, but I don't know. But the way you explain, your explanation is in fact fantastic. I must give it to you, honestly. You have been doing a very good job, and I know the Lord is going to continue to help you. So back to the question of that first bank, I wouldn't say, but I will not say that the fault is actually from the QA testers, because most times when bank is bringing up certain applications, they want to deliver as quick as possible.
Okay.
You understand? You give them a certain task, but they want to be like, okay, let's quickly bring this thing out, so that, without doing proper, maybe without doing proper testing of those applications. It has happened. What happened now happened also sometimes in my bank like that. They will bring certain application, maybe a mobile app out, and before you know, there are a lot of errors and issues. But over time, they start getting over those errors. They start probably fixing those bugs and defects and all of that. So we cannot really attribute the issue to the QA or the testers.
So you feel
we have to deliver. They gave us 2 weeks and we must deliver without doing proper. So that's one of the reasons, one of the things that QA will be facing. Time. That's one of the things we'll be facing in organizations. Time. They will just want to deliver. That's Nigerian mentality. Unlike the white people, they want to take their time in making sure they do their feasibility studies, do everything before they launch such an application. So I think for me, that might be one of the reasons why they encounter. But over time, by the time they now go back to their drawing table, they will, before you know it, they will rectify that particular fault.
Okay, so we have two major feedback now. One is saying the QA guy probably did not do a thorough job. Okay, Henry, you want to say something to that?
I just want to react to what Nee said now.
Okay.
I told you about the automation we're doing about automating our disbursement process.
Yes.
And somehow or indirectly, I was more like a QA on that project, because I'm actually the owner, and at the same time doing QA, because if anything goes wrong, my boss will hold responsibility, because I was on that project from day one, and I know everything about it. I know what I want, The reason why I want to make this point is, the person I'm talking about, the head, I don't know what to call him now, whether he's the project team member now or what, Mr. I don't want to mention his name, but he's somebody that can impose on you,
Yeah.
But I fought with him on that project too. By the time he was saying the board had given them 1 month to deliver and all that, no problem. I kept quiet. When they started, I listed about 20 reasons why the deployment will not go live.
Okay.
And when I itemized it to one by one. Immediately, because in the WhatsApp group, I sent my post. He called me on phone. He screamed. He called me. And where did you get all these things from? And that is me. And the reason why I put it on WhatsApp is that tomorrow, if anything goes wrong, that WhatsApp chat can be printed. So I will still blame whoever the QA is, or in whether they give them a deadline or whatever. That's not his business. His own is to do his job. And if he decides to go live, he would have the proof. That's me. That's the way I work. I told these guys to decide to go live, and this is what has happened. That's the way I work.
Yeah. So this is interesting, and I like the way this is going. I would have loved to take others first, but I would like to, so that we can learn from these things quickly. Because if we take others first, I may forget some of the things I want to say. So the honest truth is that both of you are right, but an area has made some valid points which you as QA will need to learn. Now, I must tell you that the QA might have done a bad job, but in the case of this application that went live, I would most likely not blame the QA. I don't know what exactly happened, But I mean, we have valid points which I'm going to pick from to try to explain some things, because I've been there before and I know what we are talking about. And even the case Henry is citing, I know those who are involved and how things could be. But what I would just quickly say is, yes, the QA might not have done a thorough job, but if it's going to really be a QA thing, there is what you call user acceptance test before you go to production. And if you look at some of the issues, because I had to go and read the comments on the application, it was not even just about it being slow. Even the user experience wasn't good enough. So the QA can bring observations, but don't forget that QA does not have final say. It's the product owner and the users that have final say on what exactly they want. So the user experience of the application was not good. I want to believe UAT was done. If UAT was not done, that's not the fault of QA. A QA is to test that the functionality works, give recommendations, report the issues, tell them exactly why the application should not go live. Just like Henry is stating, list out those 20 things and say, in my opinion, I don't think this application is ready for go live because of these 20 things, and this is how critical these 20 things are, and share it with the team. Now, it's now left to the team to decide that they still want to go live or not. I must say to you that as a QA, you can't force them not to go live. You can only advise them not to go live and state your facts clearly. Now, if after advising them not to go live with your facts clearly stated, they still decided to go live, you are going to be exonerated from whatever happens afterwards. So that's why I said it may not be QAs, just like Henry is saying now, why it is easier for you is because you are both the QA and the user. I tell you, if everybody says the application is fine and the user does UAT and they say it's not fine, it cannot go live, user has a lot of power. It will never go live. But if everybody says it's not fine and user is saying, I like it like that, let it go live, you don't have a choice. You will go live. Or user is saying, I don't want it to go live, but management is saying it should go live like that after they have assessed your report. You can't stop them from going live. You can only advise and recommend. But it will be on record that you have done your due diligence and you have highlighted the danger and impact and risk that is going to be involved in it. So if they now choose to go live, then because I've been in on projects where the head of engineering is saying we must go live no matter what the situation may be. Say, okay, no problem. We are not saying you shouldn't go live, but this is our own recommendation. We have tested, we found 500 bugs, 400 has been fixed, 100 are still remaining to be fixed. Out of these 100 that are to be fixed, 50 of them are critical, and we think that if it is not fixed, we should not go live. 45 is major, 5 is minor. This is our report. Our recommendation is that we should fix at least these 50 critical ones, and then we can now decide to go live, fix the remaining issues after going live, because they are not really showstoppers. And you send your report. And if after seeing that report, they still decide to go live, whatever happens afterwards is not going to be your fault. So that's why I said both of you are correct, because the other guys, who guys have left, I hope they join soon, because there may be unbelievable timelines. They want you to achieve heaven in 5 days, and that's not possible. And after 5 days is like you must go live. The best you can do is to give your recommendations and leave the rest. However, there's one more thing you can also do, because you will always be faced with situation, and they always ask this question in interview, which you should pay attention to. So you'll be faced with situations where they give you unbelievable targets. Your responsibility is to focus more on areas of high risk. I don't know whether you get it. Areas of high risk. What are the critical areas that without it, this thing will be said not to be working? That is, you have to prioritize. That's the word. You have to prioritize what you are testing, and so on. prioritize it, and focus more on the more critical ones. When that has been sorted, then you can now come back to the less critical ones. I mean, in an ideal environment, you should properly plan out work. And if it is going to be more than the 2 weeks, just break it down to what you can achieve in that 2 weeks. They always call a minimum viable product, MVP. That's what should be. There should be a minimum viable product that, okay, let's achieve this first. Then we can begin to add other things to it as time goes on. But we find out that many a times they will tell you that, well, we want to start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we have 1 week to do it. And you're telling them that, why don't you let us do 1, 2, 3, and then we'll come back and do 4 and 5. Somebody from somewhere will say, no, everything must be there and it must be done within. So that's why you see people working overtime and overnight and all those details. But it wouldn't make sense for you to work overtime and overnight and you will focus on less important things. You have to prioritize your testing. This area is the most critical part. I will focus my attention to test that part. Then when that part is sorted, I can now move my attention to other less critical aspects of the software. So I don't know if I made any sense and try to balance it up to that.
Yes.
So my question is, does anybody still have any other opinion why you think that application failed? Because there are still other reasons why it could have failed.
Hello, sir.
Yes, Mr. Julian.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone. For me personally, I feel it's possible the QA might have done his tests initially. Though everything still boils down a little to the test, to the QA guys. But it's possible they tested something and then, there was a bug and then they asked the team to fix that bug. And then, in the process of fixing that bug, something else happened, which the QA, because of time crunch, they could not go back to testing the whole modules from beginning to the end. So, they fixed the bug that was asked to be fixed. In the process of fixing, but maybe I'm saying this because maybe I know a little bit about programming and, in so doing, sometimes you are trying to actually fix this. You've actually altered some things here. So it's possible it might not even be because of the time crunch. They could not go back to start to test everything from beginning to the end.
So you are saying regression test wasn't done properly?
No, they didn't do a regression test. I feel so. I feel that might have been, or that's my own opinion, that might have been the case.
I think Kennedy said the same too on WhatsApp. I think the regression test wasn't carried out properly. Yes, you have a point. I will accept it because you kept emphasizing maybe because there is limited time. They couldn't cover everything that they needed to cover. And I must tell you, I've been in that situation before where I covered the key things because I didn't have enough time. And I felt I had covered all the key things. But the good thing for me was like a day or some hours before go live, I did a walkthrough session with the product manager where the product manager was just trying to understand what we have done. So I was showing him step by step how to go about it. And it was in the point of that walkthrough that we found out that there was a key component that was working before, but for some reason had stopped working. And at that point, we quickly had to call the dev and, had to have him rectify it, at that point. So it's very, very possible what you said, and I think I agree with that. And that's part of why automation is necessary, especially API automation. You automate as much as possible so that when you want to do regression, you don't have to manually go through all your tests. You just run the test and it would test everything for you as much as possible. Okay. Any other opinion as to why it failed?
Hello, sir.
Yes. Something different from what we have said so far. Don't repeat what we have said already.
Okay, me, what I think is everything boils down to the owners of the app, because I believe there should be a condition or a criteria for acceptance. So even if the test is done and you check, the QA has done his or her own test and he sent his report, so I believe there should be an acceptance testing too, where the user is going to test, the owner is going to test the app to check all these things. And so I believe everything just boils down to I believe the owner must have used the app and checked if all these things are working. So if the app goes live, it's probably because the owner is okay with what he has seen and he has them to go live.
So I also mentioned that earlier that it's possible that there was no proper UAT and things like that, because if people are complaining about design and user experience, then maybe there was no proper UAT, or the people who were asked UAT, they probably didn't see it from that aspect. So yes, that is another valid point. However, it's possible to do UAT, and after UAT, you still run into some of these issues, because I read some of the feedback. Some said the application is not launching at all. Some said that it is very slow. Some said some other things. So I will just add this to it so we don't take time on that. And this is something very, very important. Many times when people are testing, the environment on which you test, many times or sometimes, is not always exactly the same environment you are deploying to. And that is dangerous. So they give you a test environment that is not a replica of your production environment. You test on your test environment and everything works fine. But then when it now gets to production, then the thing begins to misbehave, because possibly your test environment and production environment are not the same. So it's very, very important. In fact, in standard testing standard organizations, they have different environments. They have what you call the development environment, where developers will push their code to. Now, when developers have finished their own coding and they have tested and it's fine, they push it to your test environment. Now, after everything has confirmed to be working on the test environment, they push it to what we call staging environment. Now, your staging environment is supposed to be, as much as possible, a replica of production environment. It is on that staging environment that users will be exposed to the application to test the application to be sure that it is doing what they want it to do. Now, if on that staging environment everything is confirmed to be fine, then they can now deploy it to production environment, knowing fully well that the staging environment is more or less the same as the production environment. But we find that many organizations, because they don't have resources or they don't want to spend money on providing resources, they don't do these things. So they may not even have a development environment. They may just have one test environment. Developers write their code, deploy it to that test environment. You test on it, that test environment, you are going live. And you can't guarantee that. In fact, in some cases, you wear things like, it's not working on test, but it's going to work on live. Because their test environment is crappy. Their test environment has a lot of issues that you can't really reconcile. So they will be telling you that, don't worry about this, overlook it. We are sure it's going to work on live. This is a test environment issue. And in such cases, please get evidence to back up that claim. They may tell you it's going to work on live, and then they take it to live, it begins to misbehave, and they come back to you that, didn't you test? And you tell them that, I tested, but they told me not to worry, to work on live. They say, who told you that? And that person may end up denying you because you don't have evidence to back it up. So sometimes you may need to get evidence, maybe do a mail, or make sure that your chat, you can retrieve it, or in your results, add a comment. Like I've tested projects and I was told, okay, for you to test payment with QR code or payment with USSD or payment with this, we can't do it on test environment, but we are sure it's working. However, we'll test it with a dummy and things like that. in the front of the test case that concerns that feature, I always put a comment. I could not test this on test environment because they told me this and they said it's going to work on production and all those, and I put it there and I leave it there. So if you get to production and something goes wrong, I would make reference to that document with the date, time, and every other thing that was referred to. And based on that, I can exonerate myself, and the team will now work together to fix what that issue is. So, that could be another possibility. It could be that everything was fine before deploying, but when deployed, things went haywire because probably environment issues and some other details. Does that make any sense?
Sorry, can I just say something?
Yes, please.
Okay, I think right from when we started this course till now, I've been exposed to a few things, and I can now draw a conclusion that in this part of the world, we've not really understood the importance of testing. Sure. That is what I feel. Okay, looking at what the link you shared on Slack the other time, I told you I'm following one applause group, where you have to go through their own academy and all that. And even while you're going through their academy, you could still apply for jobs because they post jobs under their site, under their app. And I've found that when they post such jobs, I'm trying to relate it to what you were saying about testing on different environments.
Yes.
I've gone through several jobs where they've posted to see if I can even apply, and I've not qualified for a single one. And guess what? There was one they posted. They were looking for testers that use Android Marshmallow, Android Lollipop. I've never heard that in my life before. And I went to Google Android Marshmallow, and I found that it's only Samsung S10, from Samsung that uses Marshmallow. And I went to quickly check the price of Samsung S10, and I was seeing 270,000. So if I go and buy that phone 270,000, I don't get the job. What will happen? You can see this testing is serious business.
Yes.
So what people do abroad is they produce something and they send it to these guys, these applause people. Please do the test for me. So the applause people, they have a lot of testers signed up to them, signed up to them, and tester has his own requirements, and they say, okay, you do this test. There's no way they can get it wrong. A lot of testers, thousands of testers that apply for a setting and to test a particular product, they must find something. So I think we've not really appreciated the relevance of testing in this part of the world. That's what I feel.
Well, thanks for that observation. And what you just mentioned now is part of compatibility testing. Because what it means is that this application was developed to work on Android Marshmallow, but you tested it on Android. I think there's one Android Nougat or something like that. That's, I think, Android 7.0. Actually, the different versions of Android have the name they call them. So when you hear Marshmallow, this, it could be 6.0, 7.0, depending on what version it is. So that it worked on 6.0 is not a guarantee that it will work on 7.0. So if you're building it with a target to work on 7.0 and you are testing it on 6.0, you are preparing it to fail, which is exactly what I was just saying now, that it's possible the guy tested on an environment that is different from the production environment. So when it is deployed to production, you will most likely find issues on it. So because of lack of resources, that is why they outsource the testing. So they will outsource to an organization, and that organization's responsibility is to get the resources to do it. So what they normally do is there is this job, only those that uses Android 7.0 should apply. Only those that uses Android 10.0 should apply. Only those that uses iOS whatever should apply. So if you don't have it, you're already disqualified. But there is a way around it, though some people still insist against it. So there's something you call Android emulator. I don't know if anybody has heard about it. There's something you call Android emulator. It's a software. You can install it on your laptop, and when you install it, you'll be able to simulate. So if, for example, they say you should use Android 8.0 and your phone is 6.0, you can actually install Android emulator on your laptop and configure a virtual phone on your laptop with the particular operating system you are interested in. So you would test it and it will be working like a phone will work, and you will use it to do all your testing and you can give feedback. However, some people still say that as good as the emulator is, it's not always 100% working like the physical device. So some people would still think that it is still better to use a physical device. But I can tell you that as much as possible, your Android emulator emulates the behavior of your physical device, and you can actually use it to test, because it's not possible for you to really have all versions of operating system.
Exactly.
And how many phones are you going to have in that case? So that's why the emulator was built, that even if you don't have 6.0, 7.0, 8.0, 9.0, you can use the emulator to try to, simulate how it's going to work. I actually have an Android emulator on my laptop. I'm trying to launch it to see. It's been a while I used it, to launch it to see if it's something I can show you guys what it looks like. So if you configure it correctly, you will launch it. It will launch like a phone, and you would be able to interact with it as a phone. You can configure your email and all those things on it, and you will not even be able to tell the difference between it and a phone. If I can show you today, maybe in one of our other sessions, I would show us. Just remind me to show you something around Android emulator. And there's also a iOS version on it. But for that iOS version, you have to have a Mac laptop, because it will only work on a Mac laptop. So for the Android emulator, you can install it on a Windows laptop and use it. But for iOS emulator,
okay, so I checked it now, and I can see that there are several types of the emulators.
okay.
So that means, does it mean that if you want to download an emulator, you have to download the one for a particular project?
So I know for Android, there's the one we call Android Studio. So when you install Android Studio, it gives you access to be able to use any Android operating system version. So it's just all about how you configure it.
Okay.
Then the one for iOS, I don't know what that one is called because I haven't used it before. But if you Google it, you will find iOS emulators, and then they can tell you how to install and configure it. So, but you can take note of it and remind me. Maybe one of these sessions would try to look at it. I mean, I was using it to test them. Oh, yeah, downloading it already. Okay, now. Okay, so I think we have an idea of what would have happened with First Bank now. So please, let's learn from these things. Sometimes product managers can be very stubborn and they don't want to listen to you. Just do your own job. Document. It's very important to document. Let everything be transparent. Then if issues come up, then you are. I mean, I don't like to use this kind of words because it doesn't make us sound like a team. It's that you are trying to exonerate yourself. But these things happen where people just want to be difficult and they just want to go live. They don't want to take precaution. So you have to protect yourself, as much as possible. That thing that happened, somebody could have been sacked. So that's just all I can say for now. So yes, thanks Henry for the different questions and engagements. Other guys, what's up? Are you having the same experience like Henry? You didn't really feel the videos. You didn't really learn. Did you even watch all the videos? Please don't tell me you're like Henry that I just watched two and stopped.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Okay. I have a question.
Okay.
Although it's just one. So I know there are different kinds of testers. We have the unit tester, integration tester, system tester, usability tester, and stuff like that.
Mm.
And I know most of the times there is no specialization. The acceptance tester can be the system tester and the integration tester and stuff like that. But in a case where there is specialization, where these people are different, if you are going to come up with a testing team, will there be like, is it compulsory that each kind of these testers must be present in that testing team?
Okay, so that's your question. Is there anybody who wants
Yes,
to
sir.
help with an answer to that? Thanks for the question anyway. Is that your only question?
Yes, sir. That's my other question, sir.
Okay. So does anybody want to help answer that question?
Yeah, I would like to talk about that.
Okay, please go ahead.
I think in Nigeria, so to say, we're always the jack of all trades most times, because you have to master everything.
Okay.
But outside the country, I feel it's different because even me myself, I've been one time confused, just going through things on software on QA, and I discovered that I'm not supposed to actually learn everything. But in Nigeria, you must have everything to actually even get a job.
Okay.
Later you might start specializing. Maybe if it's a very big, organization. If, for instance, that kind of first bank now, you get a job there, you might not necessarily be doing everything. You might not necessarily be doing everything. But to his question, if you had to, make a team of QA testers and trying to get a job, it is good enough if you know everybody's strong points and everybody's weak points. That will help to actually pick a team. You know who would be good at integration testing, who know how to make this, because that's what will make it work. If everybody, we can't just pick everybody, or you can't just pick a team that everybody is particularly good in one aspect, then other aspects would suffer for it. So I think to pick a team for a project or for this thing is always good for, everybody's area of strength and this thing. But I don't think in Nigeria they particularly say we are looking for a particular aspect of QA, like they are trying to employ, and they say they will most times want someone who has a bit of everything, which is also good, because if you have a bit of everything, when somebody else has done his own job and he has not done a proper job, because you have an idea about it, you'll be able to weigh in and say, no, this shouldn't have been like this. You didn't do this test, you didn't do this test. So that's just it for me.
All right, cool. Thanks for that. 1 minute, 11 seconds before he throws us off. Anybody wants to add to that? Anybody wants to add to that? Julian, sorry, do you want to add to that?
He has said it all. I think I actually buy into what Henry said now concerning concerning the specialization. You need to even know how to get a job in Nigeria. They will tell you. The only thing I think they used
we can't hear you again, Oni. Or I can't hear you.
You just need to have knowledge. Hello?
Now I can hear you.
Okay, but in Nigeria here, for you to even get a job, you just need to have the knowledge of all these things, even if you are not specializing in one particular area, like Henry rightly said. So it is better to have the knowledge of all. For now, don't even dream of specialization. As far as Nigeria is concerned, though we are going to get to that level, but we are not there yet. So let us just have the overall knowledge of what QA is all